You ever notice that moment at the end of a house party, when the laughter has died, the couples have paired off, and you're left standing there with a warm beer in your hand, surrounded by empty pizza boxes? That hollow silence creeping in, like you've been abandoned without a word. That's exactly what most men live with in their own relationships. Abandoned, while she's still sitting right next to them. And the cruel part? Most men don't even recognize it until it's too late. Today, I'm giving you the verbal nuclear codes that flip this entire dynamic on its head. Words so sharp, so devastating to the female ego, that most men are terrified to use them, and that's why they stay trapped, stuck in the same cycle of begging, apologizing, and shrinking until there's nothing left of the man they once were. I've seen it over and over. A man begins his relationship full of fire, confident, decisive, his own man. 6 months later, he's asking for permission to see his friends. A year later, he's apologizing for things he didn't even do. 2 years down the line, he doesn't even recognize himself anymore. His identity has been dismantled piece by piece, and the sickest part is, he calls this love. But let's be clear. That's not love. That's slow death. Every time she tests you and you fold. Every time she pushes and you cave. Every time she threatens and you beg. You're not protecting the relationship. You're strangling it. You're murdering her attraction, one weak response at a time. Deep in her DNA, beyond ideology, beyond modern relationship advice, she craves strength. She needs to feel that the man standing beside her cannot be bent or broken. And when you prove otherwise, something inside her dies. That's when you see the crown. Not the kind of crown that inspires admiration, but the heavy crown of unchecked power. You see it in the way she speaks to you with contempt, in the way her eyes glaze over when you talk, as if you're furniture that sometimes spits out validation and money. And the bigger her crown grows, the smaller you become, until you're nothing more than a servant in her kingdom. And here's the paradox. She despises you for letting her win. She hates the weakness, even though her own tests created it. That's the twisted game. Most men accept this misery as normal. They think every relationship is built on constant testing, endless drama, and walking on eggshells. Wrong. Some men cracked the code. Some men learn the words that reset the balance instantly. And the first phrase that destroys her ego like nothing else. It's simple. You're ordinary. Said calmly, without malice, without anger, just truth. I thought you were different. I thought you were special. But you're just like every other woman. Same insecurities, same games, same drama. And in that moment, the crown slips. You see, the greatest illusion in modern relationships is that women hold all the cards. They truly believe they're unpredictable, mysterious, and impossible to read. But the truth is, once you've seen the patterns, once you've lived through enough of the games, you realize it's all repetition, different faces, different voices, but the same script. Testing, probing, manipulating to see if you'll crack. And this is where the second weapon comes in. You strip away the illusion by exposing the one truth they fear the most. They're predictable. Nothing devastates a woman more than hearing she's not the exception. Every woman believes she's different, unique, the one who stands apart from the rest. The princess in your story. When you calmly say you're completely predictable, you shatter that image. Because in that moment, she realizes she's not the star of your life. She's just another actress running the same lines you've heard 100 times before. I saw this unfold once outside a restaurant. A couple locked in an argument, her screaming about how he didn't appreciate her uniqueness. And he, calm as stone, simply said, "Special? You're saying exactly what my ex said. Word for word. It's like you all share the same playbook." She froze, not quiet. Frozen. Because someone had finally held up a mirror that stripped away her fantasy. The third weapon cuts even deeper. Indifference to her leaving. Most men panic when she threatens to walk. They chase, they beg, they try to prove they're the one. But a Stoic man does the opposite. She says she needs space. He tells her to take all the time she needs, because his life moves forward either way. She says her ex is texting her. He shrugs and says maybe she should see where that goes. In that moment, her power collapses, because her entire leverage depended on the assumption that you feared losing her. When you don't, the game ends instantly. And then there's the nuclear option, the weapon that shakes her to her core. You dismantle her sexual self-image. Every woman believes her sexuality is her trump card, her irreplaceable weapon. But when you, calm and almost dismissive, remark that the physical side has always been just okay, that you've had far deeper connections before, her ego implodes. You didn't insult her, you simply made an observation. And suddenly, what she thought was her superpower is revealed as average. The effect? Devastating. But understand this. These are not cheap shots. They are not to be used as weapons of cruelty. They are antibiotics, meant for when the relationship has already been infected with manipulation, emotional terrorism, and constant tests. You don't reach for them when things are healthy. You reach for them when she's been trying to erode your strength. And when you do, the crown she built for herself begins to slip. For the first time, she sees a man she cannot bend, cannot manipulate, cannot rule. And that is when respect returns, or she walks. Either way, you win. But here's what truly devastates them, when you flip the comparison. She says, "Why don't you treat me like Jake treats his girlfriend?" Calmly, without anger, you reply, "Funny, because Jake's girlfriend never complains about guys' nights." Sarah doesn't threaten to leave when she doesn't get her way. Maybe I picked the wrong type of woman. Watch how fast the comparison game ends when the scale tips against her. And that leads us into one of the most powerful psychological tools a man can ever use, the agreement method. See, women throw out statements designed to wound you, to provoke you into defending yourself. Maybe I should just find someone who appreciates me. The weak man scrambles. "No, baby, I appreciate you." "Please don't leave the strong man." He shrugs and says, "You're right. You deserve that. And if that's not me, I'll help you pack." She says, "You're not a real man." You nod. True. A real man wouldn't tolerate this behavior. "Thanks for reminding me." She says, "The spark is gone." You calmly respond, "I've been feeling the same. Better to end this before we waste more time." Do you see the difference? By agreeing, you remove the battlefield. Her attacks depend on resistance, on your desperate energy colliding with her test. But when you agree, she falls into her own momentum, like a fighter throwing a punch and hitting nothing but air. One viral clip proved this perfectly. A woman berating her man in public, screaming he was pathetic, weak, not the man she thought he was. Instead of arguing, he nodded and said, "You're right. I am pathetic for putting up with this." That changes today. Then he walked away. Silence. She stood frozen while the internet debated. Half the women were outraged. Half the men said it was the first time they'd seen someone handle it like a king. And here's the next layer, the one that truly destroys the female ego, showing you thrive without her. She leaves expecting your collapse, your desperate calls, your endless texts. But instead, you flourish. You go out with friends she banned. You pursue hobbies she dismissed. You live lighter, freer, stronger. Her absence doesn't crush you. It liberates you. Psychologists call this an existential crisis, because her power came from the belief that she was essential, that your happiness orbited around her presence. But when she leaves and you shine brighter, she realizes she was never the sun, only the cloud blocking it. And here's the final truth. Women test not out of cruelty, but instinct. Like a scorpion stings, Like a bird builds a nest. It's what they do. But unlike the scorpion, women secretly want you to avoid the sting. Every test is a plea. Please be strong enough so I don't have to be. Every manipulation is a prayer. Please see through this so I can finally respect you. There was a study in Stockholm where researchers observed couples in conflict. The results were shocking to most men, but obvious to those who understand female psychology. When men stayed emotionally grounded during a woman's emotional storm, her stress hormones actually dropped faster than when he tried to comfort or reassure her. Let that sink in. Her biology literally calms down when you refuse to be pulled into her chaos. Her body is telling her, finally, a man who won't break. And this is where most men fail. They think the strongest position in love is being the one who gives more. They think vulnerability will draw her closer. So they open up their wounds, share their insecurities, confess their struggles, believing it will deepen intimacy. But what actually happens? Attraction evaporates, not because she's cruel, but because the protector she wanted to lean on suddenly needs protection himself. The rock turns to sand. I knew a man who confessed his depression to his girlfriend, hoping for comfort. Within 2 weeks, she was back texting her ex. Within a month, she was gone. Later, she admitted to a mutual friend, I just couldn't see him as a man anymore after that. Brutal? Yes. True? Absolutely. Women don't want to be your therapist. They want to feel safe knowing you can carry your own burdens and still have strength left for them. And when you master the art of emotional indifference, something fascinating happens. She begins to work for your approval. She puts in effort she hasn't shown in years. Why? Because for the first time, she doesn't know if she truly has you. For the first time, you are the prize, not her. This is where the mirror method comes in. Whatever energy she gives you, reflect it back. She grows cold, you grow colder. She shows disrespect, you show dismissal. She threatens to leave. You've already left emotionally. This isn't pettiness. This is stoic equilibrium. If she plays games, she wins only the consequences of her own moves. And here's the most important shift. Stop trying to defend your sacrifices. She'll rewrite history anyway. To her, every yes you ever gave disappears, but every no is carved in stone. She's not operating in reality. She's operating in feelings. In her narrative, she's the victim. You're the villain. The true power move isn't pretending to be happy without her. It's being happy without her. When you no longer need her approval, her presence, or her validation, the crown she thought she wore doesn't just slip. It vanishes. That's when you stop being a man chasing love and start being a man no woman can ever truly replace. But here's the truth most men can't accept. The right relationship isn't meant to be a battlefield. With the right woman, it's simple. It flows. It elevates your life instead of draining it. Yet countless men wake up one day to discover their wife has been mocking them for years behind their back, telling friends he's weak, boring, that she could do better. Most men, when they confront this, get gaslighted. They're told they're overreacting, that it's just girl talk. But one man chose differently. He said, "You're right. You could do better, and I definitely can." Let's both upgrade. He filed for divorce the next day. 6 months later, the same woman who dismissed him was suddenly trying to win him back, playing the role of the perfect wife she never was when she had him. That's the pattern. They value only what they might lose. They respect only what doesn't need them. This isn't manipulation, it's biology, evolutionary psychology. The same principle that makes a cat ignore a still toy but go wild when it's pulled away. Scarcity breeds desire. Certainty breeds contempt. This is why I call it the agreement method. When she creates drama, you don't engage in it. You agree it's too much and you remove yourself. When she plays games, you don't play back. You agree it's childish and you move on. When she withholds affection, you don't beg. You agree the relationship lacks intimacy, and you seek fulfillment elsewhere, or nowhere at all. Because here's the truth. Women are always testing. Not consciously, but instinctively. They are probing for your limits, like water searching for cracks in stone. If you have no boundaries, no line she cannot cross, the water doesn't stop. It floods everything until it destroys the foundation itself. Every man thinks his case is unique. She's different. Our history is complicated. You don't understand number. She is not different. Your relationship is not complicated. You're simply another man repeating an ancient pattern men have failed for thousands of years. The only question is whether you wake up or remain asleep. And here's the paradox. The words women fear hearing are the very words they secretly need to hear. Because a woman with unchecked power, with a crown so heavy she can't see past it, becomes miserable. She gets everything she thought she wanted. Control, compliance, dominance, and still feels empty. Because there is no respect in absolute control, no fulfillment in unchecked power. When you knock off that crown, when you stop being her subject and reclaim your spine, you're not just saving yourself, you're saving her from herself, from the monster created when power goes unchallenged. But most men won't do it. They'll nod along to this, agree with every word, then go back to walking on eggshells. Dying a little more every day, afraid of conflict, afraid of loss, afraid of being alone. They don't realize they're already alone, just sharing space with someone who doesn't even respect them. And here's the ultimate irony. The power move isn't anger, it isn't shouting, it's indifference. Every woman's deepest fear isn't that you'll leave, it's that you'll stay but no longer need her. That you'll be physically present but emotionally untouchable. That when you look at her, you feel nothing. No hate, no love, no fire, just nothing. That is when her power evaporates. That is when the crown ceases to exist. The red button is in front of you. Push it, and tomorrow you wake up as the man who finally speaks the truth, without apology, without fear, without mercy. Leave it untouched, and you'll spend the rest of your life as an extra in her one-woman play. Remember this. She doesn't fear losing you. She fears you not fearing losing her. She doesn't fear your anger. She fears your indifference. And she doesn't fear your words. She fears your truth. So use it, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a tool of construction, to rebuild respect, to rebuild yourself, to finally reclaim the life you were always meant to lead.